We had an interesting week this week in the Cooper household. Dropped both of my daughters off at school, at college, out of the home for the first time. And it's been kind of sobering as we're down to one kid in the home. It's a little quieter at dinner, a little bit less messy, but a lot lonelier than it has been for the last 20-some years. But I'm so excited for my girls as they get out into the world and they begin to educate themselves. They begin to spread their wings. But I think one of the things that I've really been pondering, especially over COVID, when everything has gone to online and virtual and all of that, right, is that if we're not careful, we can look at life like my daughters are out garnering information at university. It's just about taking information and downloading it into their minds. And I think that's what virtual has become, right? Like we've got this flood of information that comes into our sphere each and every day. Hits me right from the time I get up in the morning, right? This flood. We have never had access to more information. My kids ask me a question at dinner. I say, well, we don't have to wonder about that anymore, right? We just pick up our phone or we ask Alexa, right? We have access to information like never before in the history of the world. But information is different than wisdom. And so what I hope my girls get at university is not just information download, but I hope they garner wisdom. And wisdom is different than information, right? Information is just knowing what is out there, knowing facts, knowing what is going on. But wisdom is knowing what to do with that information, how to process that, how to process it within the context of God's story and God's will for this world and for our lives. And so I've been pondering that a lot this week, especially with my girls heading out, this idea of wisdom versus information. And just a couple of verses that popped to mind, because information comes to us, right? I mean, we're, with our phones, with our computers, information is coming to us, but wisdom is something we have to go after. Wisdom is something we have to pursue. Proverbs 4:3 in the Message translation says, sell everything and buy wisdom. Forage for understanding. Don't forget one word, right? It's wisdom is something we have to go after. We have to forage for it. I love that word. Or then the famous scripture in James chapter 1 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God who gives generously to all. Gives generously to all. He will not look down on us for asking. We are in a moment of history, whether it's with our families, with our businesses, with our ministries, where we have never needed more wisdom. We've never needed more wisdom to navigate this moment in our culture. And God says it's there. Pursue it, go after it, ask him for it. We are literally drowning in information, but information and wisdom are different. And so I want to encourage all of us as believers in the marketplace, believers in ministry, believers in all cultural spheres right now. Pursue wisdom, ask God for it, go after it, get in the word. Don't just absorb everything that comes at us through the news, through social media, through all of those factors, but forage for wisdom, forage for it, go after it, look for it, ask God for it. And he promises it to us. He promises it to us by his Spirit alive and living in us. So let's tap into that today. The world doesn't need more information. They need more believers who are tapped into the wisdom of God. So let's go after that as believers this week and beyond. And we can make a kingdom difference in this world. We can bring a little taste of God's kingdom to this world when we have the wisdom of God. So let's go forage for it this week.